Hi everyone. So we are moving on in our quadratic unit, still in the same unit, but kind of the second part of it. We're going to be graphing now. So here are two problems. We have all the skills we need to do these. The first one is a little tricky though, but you can do it. So pause the video, try these on your own. So let's do the second one first, just because it's easier. What is the sum of the solutions? Well, we just learned how to solve, right? So the solutions here are x equals 6 and x equals negative 0.7. The sum of those two numbers is 5.3, which is C. Okay, so now in geometry, I'm not sure how far you guys got, you were supposed to learn the equation of a circle. The equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And they're asking us for the r, so that. Now, if you look at this, what does this remind? This should remind you of something. X minus h squared, y minus k squared, that's completing the square. So I didn't do these with you guys, but it is a thing. So the first thing we need to do, we need to get rid of the 2 in front of our x squared and our y squared. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. So I get x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus y. I didn't divide. That should be a 3. All right, equals 45 over 2. So now we're going to complete the square. So this one is kind of an annoying one because we have our, we have odds, right? So x minus 3 over 2 squared, and then we have to minus 9 over 4. And then for the y's, we're going to do y plus a half. And then minus 1/4 equals 45 over 2. So then we're going to add 9 over 4. Well, actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's combine those together. So I've got negative 9 over 4 and negative 1 over 4. So that's negative 10 over 4, which is negative 5 over 2. We're going to add that to the other side. So that becomes 50 over 2, which is then 25. So r squared is 25, which means r is 5. So the answer is A. Pretty tricky. That's like some high level completing the square skills to get through all of that. Okay, so we have our two. I broke up the quadratic formula. What I want you to do is I want you to add them and divide by 2. Find the average. So if we add negative b plus root b squared minus 4ac over 2a plus negative b minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And then we're going to divide that whole thing by 2. What do we get here? Well, we're adding, and these are opposite signs, so those cancel. So we get negative b and negative b gives us negative 2b over 2a all over 2. So these 2's cancel. Negative b over a all over 2. Remember, dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by a half. So that becomes negative b over 2a. So the average of our zeros of the quadratic is negative b over 2a. Okay. What is a parabola? The name of the U-shaped curve created from the graph of a quadratic. So in the investigation we did, that U-shaped curve has the name parabola. Like a line, the equation of a line is just a line. It doesn't have another name. Sometimes graphs have other names. All right, so here are two, so those are two parabolas. What is the vertex of a parabola? The minimum or maximum point of the parabola. So we talked about this the other day. This minimum this maximum, those are called the vertex. To find the x value of the vertex, use the average or midpoint of the zeros, which we just figured out. Negative b over 2a. So this negative b over 2a finds the vertex for us because parabolas are symmetric. If you look at them, if you folded them in half, right, on either side of this number 2 is 1 and 3. If I took like this point and this point, it's over 2 down 3 from my vertex. Over 2 down 3 from my vertex. Okay, so we're going to graph the parabola. So what we're going to do, because it's a U-shaped, right? We need to figure out what points we care about. We're going to make a table. You always start graphing by making a table. Now, if we picked a bunch of points over here, that's not going to be very helpful, right? We're going to end up getting this weird curve. We want to be close to the vertex. So we're going to use that formula we just wrote down. We're going to plug into negative b over 2a. Negative b over 2a. So negative over 2a. b is negative 2. A is 1. So we get 2 over 2, which is 1. So this is the x value of the vertex. So we're going to put this in the middle of our table because those are the numbers that we want to go a little bit on each side, right? Come over here and over here. So then I'm going to put the x's that are around 1. So below 1 is 0, negative 1. Above 1 is 2 and 3. So now all we're going to do is we're going to plug into our function. Negative 1 squared minus 2 times negative 1 minus 3. And you are welcome to use your calculator to do this. So we get 1 plus 2, that's a 0. When we plug in 0, that's the easy one, we get negative 3. Plug in 1, we get negative 4. Plug in 2, we get negative 3 again. Plug in 3, and we get 9 minus 6 minus 3, which is 0. Now, notice the y values. This is our vertex, and on either side of the vertex, we have matching y values. That shows the symmetry. That tells us we did it correctly. So now I'm just going to plot those points. Negative 1, 0. 0, negative 3. 1, negative 4. 2, negative 3. And 3, 0. And we could plug in 4 if we wanted. And then do me a favor and do not make a V. If you make a V, I'll get really annoyed. It's a curve, guys. It doesn't have to be beautiful, but make it look like a curve. It drives me nuts when kids do that. That's an absolute value. All right, now looking at the picture and the table, what's the x-intercept? The x-intercepts are negative 1 and 3, and the y-intercept is y equals negative 3. All right, and that is our parabola. Okay. So I talked about this symmetry. The axis of symmetry is that vertical line that cuts the parabola exactly in half. So it's just a common question, like, what's the axis of symmetry? One thing is, notice it says x equals 3. An axis is a line. So if you just tell me the axis of symmetry is 3, that's wrong. 3 is a number. It's not a line. The equation of the line, x equals 3, is a vertical line. So make sure you have that x equals. I will take points off for that. All right, so I want you to pause, see if you can, how much of this you can do on your own. So we're going to start with our negative b over 2a. So that's negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. Negative 4 goes in the middle of my table. Then I get negative 5, negative 6, negative 3, negative 2. So now what I typically do is I'll use the calculator and plug in or go into the table. There's a bunch of ways to do this. We'll talk about that in class. All right, so I plugged those into my calculator and I got -5, -8, -9, -8, -5. So again, you really want to look for that symmetry. This is our vertex. And on either side, it should be the same y value to keep our symmetry. So let's see, -6, -5, -5, -8, -4, -9, and then, so there's our symmetry. So this is not terribly accurate. So our AOS is axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry is x equals, where is that vertical line? Well, it always goes through the vertex. So our axis of symmetry is x equals -4. It's basically just that. X-intercepts, ooh, we don't know. We need some more points here. So this is a little off. So since that's off, I don't want you guessing. So we went to -2. So let's check -1. What do you get when you plug in -1? That gives you your 0. And then because of the symmetry, -7. So it's actually going to be x equals -1 and x equals -7. Our y-intercept is not on here, but what is our y-intercept? It's going to be 7. Remember, it's basically your c value. When you plug in 0, what do you get? So that's why my graph is like super off. Maybe I'll erase it, make it look a little nicer. All right, so there, that's a little more accurate. All right, same idea. Watch this one though, because it's got a negative in front of x squared. We got -b over 2a, -4 over 2 times -1. -4 over -2 is 2, so 2 goes in the middle. The numbers below that are 1 and 0. Numbers above, 3 and 4. Let's see, 5. So it's 0. I think that's 0. 2, -4 plus 8 is 4, -1. 3, -9. Wait, I think this is wrong. Yeah, I put in my calculator. It's -5, -2, -1, -2, -5. There we go. All right, so 0, -5, 1, -2, 2, -1, 3, -2, and 4, -5. So there's my graph. I wrote this and wasn't recording. Pause the video and get these numbers. I already figured out the -b over 2a was -1 for you. So pause and graph the rest of it. All right, so I plugged in and I got 4, -5, -8, -5, and 4. And again, notice that symmetry. I'm in good shape. I did this right because those are the same. All right, so we got -3, +4, -2, -5, jumping down, -1, -8, 0, -5, 1, 4. Okay, so now let's see. Okay, that was a really ugly parabola, but whatever. Okay, axis of symmetry, x equals -1. Y-intercept is our -5, y equals -5. X-intercept. All right, so the x-intercept on this one is really obnoxious. It's not a nice number. So if we were to do the quadratic formula, we would get one of those square roots. So this is where it's a square root. It's not just a nice integer. So let's do the quadratic formula to figure out what those actual decimals are. So we got x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Negative 6 plus or minus all over 6. So let's see. We got 36 minus 4 times 3 times negative 5 is 96. We can pull out a 16 there. That's root 16, root 6. So negative 6 plus or minus 4 root 6 all over 6. So we get negative 3 plus or minus 2 root 6 all over 3. So those are our x-intercepts. So they're these disgusting decimals. If you wanted to put it in the calculator, you could. Let's see what we get. So I got 0.633. So this 0.633. And then the other one, negative 3 minus 2 root 6 divided by 3, negative 2.633. So notice the decimals are always the same. So yeah, those are pretty gross. And that's the thing that makes some of these obnoxious. All right, last one. Try it on your own. Pause the video. All right, so we got our negative b over 2a, so negative 7 over 2 times 1. So I'm going to do decimals, negative 3.5. So now I'm going to avoid more decimals. Don't go negative 4.5. So then I'd go negative 4, negative 5, negative 3, negative 2. I think that's the easiest way to do this, personally. You can basically pick any number you want. I'm just trying to pick numbers that work as nice as possible. All right, so I plugged in my calculator. I got negative 5, negative 7, negative 7.25, negative 7, negative 5. Let's see, negative 5, right there. Negative 4, negative 7. Negative 3.5, like that. So there it is. This one's going to have gross. This is not factorable, right? Nothing multiplies to 5, adds to 7. So then quadratic formula again. Negative 7 plus or minus the square root. 49 minus 4 times 5 all over 2. So that's negative 7 plus or minus root 29 all over 2. I'm just going to leave it like that. My x-intercept is 5, right? It's wherever x, when you let x equal 0. X is a symmetry. X equals negative 7.25. All right. So it's just the same stuff over and over again. Make your table. X is a symmetry is where your vertex is. X-intercept is your C value. X-intercept is when you solve cross x-axis, etc. All right, practice. Have a great day.